On the 60th day of his journey, debt-ridden Li finally activated the piano teacher's life feedback system. Obtain teaching points in class and start student guides. Square root, back-end monitoring of student progress and real-time monitoring of student growth. Square root, students practice piano hard after class, and teachers receive rich rewards. Anyway, it doesn't matter what rewards you give. Please go home and practice your piano. The heartfelt words of a true piano teacher. 3 feet of Chine platform, 3,000 peaches and plums. Between dreams and reality, but you, me, his story. Let's see how the little piano teacher steps onto the stage of life. In the workplace and daily life, single female lead, with cats and systems that are not divine, effortless. Keywords of the novel. Begging, go home and practice the piano quickly. No pop-ups, begging, go home and practice the piano quickly. Download the full text. Begging, go home and practice the piano quickly. Read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Air conditioning not free. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Air conditioning not free, it's time to buy an electric fan. Rongqing in July is a big steamer. Early in the morning, Li was awakened by the heat. He felt that he had dragged down the vast blue star crossing army. I have been on Earth for 2 months, but the system has not. Air conditioning is free, and there is no such thing. Thinking about going to buy a fan after work, Li got up from bed and walked unsteadily to his private bathroom, which was less than 2 square meters, holding his phone. Although the space is small, the victory lies in breaking even further. Playing a recently frequently listened music, Li threw his phone into a black plastic bag hanging on the wall. Take 5 is indeed more compatible with taking a shower. In the cracked mirror, like a showerhead infected with a urinary tract infection, which was originally only dripping, now paired with the rhythmic rhythm of 4 or 5 beats filled with water vapor, it can be considered as having a unique falling frequency. Life is like this: every penny of firewood, rice, oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, and tea is essential, and sometimes one has to find some fun on their own. Li loves life and also loves music. He has been fascinated by the piano since he was young. Although his dream of becoming a pianist was rejected by reality as he grew up, he was also content to become a piano teacher. Pianists and piano teachers, after rounding, are not much different. The piano used to be his means of making a living, but now it is still his means of making a living. In a world that almost completely overlaps with the political, economic, and cultural history of Blue Star, his specialty is still playing the piano. This is similar to the situation of the original owner. Both graduated from a formal music college with a major in piano performance. After graduation, their life trajectories were vastly different. Within less than 3 years of graduating from Li University, he accumulated 150,000 personal savings by teaching piano and performing part-time. He had planned to wait for this money to save up to 200,000 to continue studying abroad. After graduating from college, the original owner did not want to go back to his hometown or go out to look for a job. He played games in the rental house during the day and went out at night. Not making money leads to higher expenses. This directly led to Li passively inheriting the personal debt of 801,000 accumulated by the original owner over the past 2 years. 65,000 of them come from Huabei and Jibei, where the walls complement each other, while the rest come from classmates and friends. It is urgent to start a new life and pay off debts. To be honest, Li has also considered reaching out to the old father of the original owner. But he can't open this mouth. The original owner's family conditions were the same as his, both from ordinary single worker families in the 18th tier small county town. How can such a family provide for an art student? The hardships of parents do not need to be described too much, and those who have experienced it understand. In Ong Lee's mind, the parents of the original owner always thought that they had found a decent job after graduating from college and lived a life envied by their neighbors in Rongcheng. But in reality, it was 2.5 years after graduation, with no job and a debt of 80,000 yuan. Lian can imagine the various things that two elderly people would experience after learning the truth. Thinking about it again, if it were his own parents, he would really not bear it and wouldn't have that face. So it can't delve further into this matter. Life has to move forward. So, Ong Lee entered the first dungeon of the Earth Station with all his belongings worth 250 yuan, on a journey to repay the money. The first step is to solve the current livelihood. Among the daily jobs that Ong Lee can think of, part-time pianist is the one he is most familiar with. After 4 days of inspection, Ong Lee selected 7 Western restaurants with different locations and styles in the urban area of Rongcheng. I directly approached the manager through self-recommendation and received 2 interview opportunities. With years of performance experience in music library, after a 1-week trial period, both families were quite satisfied with him. After some bargaining, he ultimately chose the one with slightly higher wages. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and July, from 19.30 to 21.00. I will settle on the 200th and have dinner. The second step is to find a stable income. After solving the short-term food problem, Ong Lee immediately devoted himself to the great education industry. Thanks to his strong professional skills and teaching experience, after 2 rounds of interviews, Ong Lee successfully found a full-time piano teacher job at a large music training institution in Rongcheng. The internship period is 3 months, and after becoming a regular employee, you will receive Social Security. In places like social art training institutions, when the bottom line is set aside, the actual income is only linked to class hours. Take as many classes as you want and earn as much money. Although Ong Lee currently only has 3 students, with a minimum guarantee, he has a stable income. By the time he arrived on Earth for 50 days, Ong Lee had accumulated a total income of 6,480. 3,200, part-time, plus 2,500, minimum guarantee during internship, plus 65, sharing of class hours, *3, number of students, *4, class hours. 680 of them will be used as a budget for daily expenses, and another 500 will be deposited into the bank. The remaining 5,300 has returned 2 payments. The first payment of 2,800 yuan was returned to the months Huabei and Jibei. The second installment of 2,500 repaid the principal of 2,300 to 2 old classmates who had a long-standing debt relationship, and the additional 200 was calculated as interest for each person. It's much more comfortable. After a pleasant cold bath, Ong Lee came to the kitchen wet and ate some mantou and pickles with the porridge left last night. Although life has been tight for the past 2 months, seeing the debt begin to decrease, Ong Lee also feels that life is starting to have some hope. No, even an electric fan dares to think about it. After eating and drinking enough, he gave 80,000 yuan of cat litter and put cat food in it. Ong Lee glued the fur on his pants and prepared to go out. Orange Cat, like Huabei, is his reward as a traveler. Before 80,000, it was called Emperor O, and Ong Lee didn't like it. I'm going to work. If you pee again today, I'll cut your eggs when I buy a fan and free up. Watching Ong Lee point at him, 80,000 stretched out his front paws lazily, then jumped onto the windowsill from the bedside and continued to bask in the sun. Hee hee. The Blue Sky Elegant Art Promotion Center is Ong Lee's daytime workplace. This institution has been established in Rongcheng for more than 20 years, ranging from 1 campus to 4 campuses, with increasing scale. In recent years, it has firmly established itself as a leading industry in the area. Lian's Yudong campus is the 2nd largest campus in Blue Sky, located on the 9th floor of an office building in a bustling area of the old city. It's only a 40-minute bus ride from the entrance of the community. At 7:55, he arrived downstairs at the workplace on time. Good morning, beautiful sister. Your complexion has improved today. After leaving the 9-story elevator, Li greeted Wang Meili, who had just recovered from a serious illness at the front desk. My husband made it yesterday, would you like to try it? Wang Meili raised the bun in her hand. Since Li joined the company, he has taken the initiative to greet her every day when he leaves the elevator, and over time, the two of them have become familiar with each other. Not long ago, she had just undergone surgery, and among the teachers, Guanli asked a lot. As an ordinary front desk executive, Wang Meili didn't think she was worth pleasing. Teacher Shaoli has a sweet mouth and a kind heart. Thank you, thank you. While you're eating, I have to attend class first. Rejecting Wang Meili's kindness, Li checked in and walked into the teaching area. As early July approaches the end of the semester, Yudong has been much quieter than before in the past 2 weeks. Most students take leave to review and prepare for the school's final exams at home, and there are fewer laughter and parents in the hall. At the same time, it also reduces the odor of many elementary school students. As he passed by the entrance of piano classroom 2, Li heard Lin Pengfei boasting to the students inside. Your teacher and I are in Germany. When studying abroad, I can practice the piano for up to 16 hours a day. Do you dare to imagine? Anyway, Li doesn't dare. Although he hasn't waited to go abroad yet, he has heard of the 2 moves in Lin Pengfei's hands more than once and can't compliment him. Stop at the door of classroom 4, and Li pushes the door in. Wang Xiaohu has already sat in front of the piano waiting in the classroom. Class. P.S. Newcomers and new books are on their way, seeking to collect, follow up, and invest. Hold your fists and thank you. And I also want to ask for a ticket. Serious, very important. Newcomers face a lot of pressure, and we hope everyone can support us. Thank you all. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. It's coming, Justice, it's coming. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. It's coming, Justice, it's coming. Seeing that Lian had arrived, Wang Xiaohu did not stand up either. He called out to the teacher and then put on his posture, waiting for the next command. Li has become accustomed to this, and now it is no longer the era when he was a student. If the students are happy, they can call you teacher. If they are not happy, they can become your father. Move the stool back again. Lian came to the piano and pointed to Wang Xiaohu's buttocks, saying, move your butt forward. Keep your chest up and look straight in the eye. Yes. Lower your arms naturally. Wang Xiaohu is like a small robot, he moves every time Li gives a command. Finally, both hands landed on the keyboard. Here, let's first listen to the D major scale. 1.2.3 Li waved his hand and gently shouted the beat. Let's go. With the slow rhythm stuck in Lian's mouth, Wang Xiaohu reached down with both hands and began playing the D major scale. Wang Xiaohu's hand shape and finger lift in the first 2 notes are not a problem, and they have been corrected according to Lian's requirements in the previous class. But on the 3rd note, the middle finger of the left hand fell and misplaced, playing the wrong note. Lian remained silent. 2 seconds later. Lian rubbed his eyebrows. This kid didn't practice the piano when he came home after class last week. Stop. Wang Xiaohu withdrew his little hand and the classroom fell silent. For a moment. Did you go home to practice the piano last week? Wang Xiaohu shook his head wooden. Lian didn't even bother to ask why this time. Practice this scale in 5 minutes. Break up and practice slowly. Start. Ignoring Wang Xiaohu, Li turned around and sighed lightly at the window. He tried almost all the methods he could think of to get his child to practice the piano at home. But today is already his 7th class taking over from Wang Xiaohu, and Wang Xiaohu has never practiced the piano after returning home. If this continues, Li is really afraid that this child will be lost from his own hands. Ding! At this moment, a crisp sound rang in my ear. The piano teacher's life feedback system has been activated. In the collection of Earth data, in character data analysis, before Leanne's eyes, a transparent interface suddenly appeared. Piano teacher. On Lee, level 0, experience value 0/5, teaching point. 10, item list. Empty list of potential students Yu Xiaobei, teacher student index, 55/100, Song Kuan, teacher student index, 25/100, Lu Fengrui, teacher student index, 19/100, Wang Xiaohu, teacher student index, 2/100, teacher student index. Students' willingness to learn piano with their teachers. Ding. The system binding is successful, and more features will be gradually opened as the host's level increases. Please explore on your own. Wishing you a pleasant life on Earth. As the prompt in his ear completely disappeared, On Lee calmly closed the interface. Then it opens again. Close it again. Open again. Close it again. With this sound from On Lee, the piano behind him suddenly snapped. Practice your piano. Wang Xiaohu let out a sound and continued to play. On Lee once again summoned the panel to explore inside and outside, and after a long time, he let out a deep breath. Justice is not only late, but also carries a sense of poverty. The 55-point teacher.student index in Xiaobei still gave him great comfort. To be honest, On Lee was somewhat moved, but also somewhat self-blaming. He didn't expect that this quiet little girl in class would still be interested in his piano class. He has always felt that Xiaobei's talent is slightly inferior, so he did not pay too much attention. It was Lu Fengrui, whom he highly valued, that disappointed him a bit. This kid kept saying in front of his parents that he liked to learn the piano with him, but his sincerity was not as good as Song Kuan's. If On Lee remembers correctly, Song Kuan should be a student of Lin Pengfei during the lunch break on weekdays. What kind of business is this finally? His gaze fell behind Wang Xiaohu's name, and On Lee couldn't help but smile bitterly. After teaching for these years, he considers himself to be a teacher that students like. Is there only 2 points here for Wang Xiaohu, teacher? Suddenly, behind him, On Lee turned around. Wang Xiaohu was looking up and said, "I've practiced well." On Lee closed the page and withdrew his thoughts to return to the piano. Come on. He was about to give Wang Xiaohu a beat when his raised hand suddenly dropped. I won't give you any speed this time, you can do it yourself. Wang Xiaohu nodded and raised his arm again to adjust his hand shape. After holding his breath for about 4 seconds, he simultaneously lowered his left little finger and right thumb. #FA. I walked smoothly under the command of Wang Xiaohu on the double-octave D major scale with both hands in the same direction. Although the speed was slow, there was no more mispronunciation, which received satisfactory praise from On Lee. Not bad, much more proficient. Lian sat in front of another piano and said, on this basis, we need to continue to control the finger rotation of our right hand. If we don't control it properly, there will be problems with uneven finger strength and falling speed. Like this. Speaking, On Lee exaggeratedly demonstrated the scale effect of improper finger control on the piano. The uneven volume and occasional sudden acceleration greatly affect the beauty of the scale. The correct finger movement is like this. Then he dropped his finger again and said, pay attention to my right thumb. After the second finger falls, we need to prepare for a thumb turn, at which point the wrist can be slightly tilted outward. Once again, the scale flowed out of On Lee's fingertips, and this time each sound was full and granular, with clear and even intervals between notes. Fingers need to be raised, with a feeling of throwing them out and then retracting them. Lian continued to slow down, striving to make Wang Xiaohu see the movement trajectory of each of his fingers clearly. Just like this, once our fingers are fully proficient. Suddenly, his hands erupted with astonishing speed. 10 fingers of firepower were fully unleashed as they ran, two fast and steady scales, like an electric current, echoed through the entire classroom before disappearing in a flash. The classroom has been restored to quietness. This can achieve such a performance effect. Is it fast? On Li withdrew his hands. Wang Xiaohu nodded. Li Anxiao said, "Do you want it fast?" Wang Xiaohu. All right. Lian, if you want it to be fast, you have to slow down first. Let's switch to you. Wang Xiaohu returned to his piano and recalled On Li's practice just now. After only practicing 3 times, he solved the problem of large finger movements. On the side, On Li nodded frequently. This child has a natural talent, but he doesn't practice the piano. Hey! After reviewing the scales in D major, the teacher and student consolidated the remaining content from the previous lesson. Half of the class ended in a blink of an eye. Teacher, I have a stomachache. Go. There is no paper. Lian glanced at the empty paper drawer and said, "Go to the next door and find Teacher Chen." Wang Xiaohu left, and On Li summoned the system again to quickly scan. Half a class has passed, and Wang Xiaohu's teacher.student index still remains unchanged. Based on his heart, he thinks the first half of the class was pretty good. So, that is to say, if this classroom atmosphere continues, Wang Xiaohu's teacher.student index can only be maintained at 2 points. On Li was lost in thought. If we look at it from a different perspective, it can also be said that at least Wang Xiaohu still has a slight desire to attend classes with himself. So how to enhance interaction with children on this basis may be a good breakthrough. In an instant, On Li seemed to have caught something. Previously, his efforts were all focused on how to bring Wang Xiaohu home to practice the piano. As for the relationship between teachers and students, he always believed that children have this kind of personality, so he did not attach too much importance to it. It seems that the problem may be here. With his gaze fixed on Wang Xiaohu's teacher.student index, Lian was pondering how to improve the relationship between the two when suddenly a window popped up. Do you want to unlock Wang Xiaohu's beginner guide? On Li was taken aback and instinctively chose. To unlock the beginner's guide for students, 10 teaching points need to be deducted. Do you want to continue unlocking? I hesitated and glanced at Yu Xiaobei's name. For a moment. Yes. The 10 teaching points on the interface instantly clear 0. Please wait. During the waiting process, Teacher On Li was a bit nervous and curious about what strategies the system would provide for Wang Xiaohu. 10 seconds later, a line of small characters appeared below Wang Xiaohu's name. A new book for newcomers. The theme is just like this. Without further ado, please support those who like it, and don't be fooled by the effort to update it in return. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. The Former Canyon Chopin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The former Canyon Chopin. Wang Xiaohu has been extremely addicted to King of Glory for the past 2 months. Is this the guide? On Li has to say that this is not quite what he imagined. Accompanied by the sound of the door, Wang Xiaohu returned. Teacher On Li has started the second half of the class. According to the original plan, he arranged a new etude for Wang Xiaohu. Devonoise Op 176 No.14. A Level 2 etude. The difficulty of the track is not high, it is a small piece that focuses on practicing long and short scales and the right thumb. As a comprehensive exercise that summarizes Wang Xiaohu's recent learning, it is just right. After giving a rough overview of the work, On Li first demonstrated it, with the aim of giving Wang Xiaohu a preliminary auditory impression of the work. Next, On Li conducted a detailed analysis of the technical points of the entire piece. Then he stared at Wang Xiaohu and began to officially enter the new song practice. Time flies by, and it's almost time for class to end. During the time when Wang Xiaohu was drinking water, On Li casually asked, "Do you like to play with your phone?" Brush TikTok. Wang Xiaohu sneered and replied coolly, I only hit the king. On Li was overjoyed, as if he couldn't even watch the short video, and then pretended to be curious, are you still playing king? Who doesn't play now? Our classmates all play. Wang Xiaohu was very dissatisfied with this questioning, and then looked at On Li in confusion. Teacher, do you also play? Here we go. After a pause, On Li took out his prepared lines, your teacher, I used to call, Canyon Chopin, the 7th Yuan song in Chinese clothing. Oh. Wang Xiaohu's eyes were almost bulging out in an instant, national costume. Li Anxin smiled as expected, and Wang Xiaohu's curiosity seemed to have been aroused. He has never logged into this game at all, and his lines are all temporarily organized based on the original owner's memory. Teacher, do you have many limited skins? On Li ignored and said, alright, the final exam is this week. Go back and play less games. You can practice for a while longer. As usual, knock on the door to finish class. Without giving Wang Xiaohu another chance to ask anything, On Li casually pushed the door away like an extraordinary expert. Leave Wang Xiaohu alone to savor. Outside the door, Wang Xiaohu's grandmother had already waited and warmly welcomed Lian. Teacher Li, are you tired? Are Xiaohu still obedient today? Are you still obedient? Listen to this. Xiaohu has always been very obedient in class, but it's still an old problem. He doesn't practice the piano when he comes home. On Li gently went straight to the topic. Regarding Wang Xiaohu's current situation, he expressed his attitude and hopes that the issue of his child returning home to practice the piano can be taken seriously by the family. We can't expect children to learn just by attending classes every week. In the end, he couldn't learn anything. It not only wastes time but also undermines children's interest in music. Xiaohu has been learning the piano for over a year now. Although he changed 2 teachers during this period, he still insists on attending classes today, which shows that at least he still likes the piano in his heart. Since the child likes it, then we need to cooperate with each other and let them develop their love into love, and turn their interests into true hobbies. Our goal in teaching children to play the piano is not to expect them to make any progress in this area, but to hope that they can gain more joy through learning music. Do you think so? The old lady nodded vigorously and said, you're absolutely right, Teacher Li. We insist on sending him to learn the piano because we want him to cultivate an interest and love, so that he can stop looking at his phone. When it comes to playing with mobile phones, the old lady seems to be jealous of evil as if she were enemies. With a sudden pause, it completely made Lian understand Wang Xiaohu's situation at home. Usually it's okay, but on weekends it becomes lawless. As long as you finish your homework, besides attending various tutoring classes, the remaining time is spent playing with your phone. The old couple can't control it no matter what. Are the children's parents not around? When Lian took over Wang Xiaohu, the contact information of the parents in the student file was filled in with the phone number of the old lady. At that time, he was a bit strange. Usually, this type of phone call was for one of his parents. Now, according to the old lady, it seems that Wang Xiaohu's parents have never sent their children here before. Granny Tiger sighed. His mother is too busy. The children have basically followed us for the past 2 years. Li Anrua nodded thoughtfully. For a moment, okay. I understand the situation now. Little Tiger Granny, let's take it slow. I'll continue to guide you. When you get home, you and your child's grandfather can supervise and urge us more. Let's catch both ends together. Lian knocked on the door and said, observe for a while longer. Thank you very much, Teacher Li. It's really a blessing for Xiaohu to have such a responsible teacher like you. The words are too heavy. Lian quickly waved his hand, he couldn't bear this. After a moment, Wang Xiaohu walked out holding the grading book, and On Li handed it over to the old lady. Let's meet at the end of next week's term, he said. Xiaohu, say goodbye to Teacher Li. Goodbye, Teacher Li. The old lady was pulling Wang Xiaohu away when he suddenly turned around and asked from a distance, "Teacher, are you WeChat or QQ?" The clear voice of children echoed through the hall. "Review your homework well this week, and I'll let you know in the next class." Leaning against the door frame and waving his hand, Ang Li bid farewell to his only student on Saturday. System flashing, Wang Xiaohu's teacher.student index has increased to 11, hehe. TSK, it still needs to be Teacher Li. Lian turned his head and saw Chen Xian walking out of the fourth piano room next door with a water cup in her hand. Under her half-raised lips, her fair neck flickered in the eyes. Chen Xian happened to hear a conversation between Ang Li and Grandma Xiaohu at the door after class. "I'm so eager to learn the piano from you." "Okay," Ang Li grinned. "First, go to the front desk and enroll Sister Meili in 40 classes. Please mention my name and we'll get a 20% discount. Only 20% off. 20% off because I ate 2 deep-fried dough sticks from you last time. Be stingy. This is called life management. Then you can return me deep-fried dough sticks." Chen Xian is a flute teacher at Yudong campus, who joined 2 days earlier than Lian. As soon as she joined, she became the focus of attention for Yudong Guangda male teacher. No classes left. An Li raised his hand and looked at his watch. It was already 9:10. As both newly hired teachers, Chen Xian's situation is different from his. There is a shortage of flute teachers everywhere in the market of Rongcheng. When Chen Xian first joined, there were only 3 students. However, after 2 months of accumulation, the number of students has now accumulated to 8, and classes are usually held on Saturday mornings at this time. Both of them have taken leave. Chen Xian replied. Ang Li felt a little distressed and said, 130 yuan. Chen Xian smiled and said, "What should we do?" The two of them walked towards the direction of the West office as they spoke. She suddenly asked, "So is it QQ or WeChat?" The West office is a new office vacated by Yudong campus for newly hired teachers. Previously, it was a large piano room, so the renovated area is not large. Currently, it is just right for 4 people to use. Among them, Lian came the latest and the oldest. In the office, Su Hongxin, who had no classes on Saturday morning, was holding his phone and shouting, "Don't invest, you can win." Seeing the two of them return, they hastily greeted each other and then immersed themselves in the game. Within a minute, Ma Tao also returned to the office. After Ma Tao entered the house, he scanned the 3 of them one by one, thinking he had gone to the wrong set. "Didn't you check the information of the old director in the group? We have a meeting on Monday." Su Hongxin fiercely operated while asking, "Which Monday is not a meeting? Focus on the key points." Ma Tao lazily ignored him and went straight to the desks of Lian and Chen Xian. "The main campus has given us 2 spots for excellent course teachers in Yudong." End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Strange disappearances of senior students. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Strange disappearances of senior students. Ang Li never looks at his phone in class. Chen Xian left her phone in the office before class. On the 3rd day of joining, Su Hongxin blocked the group message reminder. As soon as Ma Tao finished speaking, Su Hongxin directly crossed out the game page and opened the WeChat group. Ang Li also clicked on the group information to join the fun. In the chat records, Director Dong sent a message half an hour ago regarding the meeting at 9 a.m. on Monday morning. The first half of the information was conventional, and the Monday meeting topic was notified in advance. An additional course plan for the summer college entrance examination for students. The focus is on the latter half. As Ma Tao said, the main campus has allocated 2 spots for high-quality course teachers to the Yudong campus. In the blue sky, there is no full-time teacher who doesn't want to become a quality course teacher. Firstly, the sharing of class fees is relatively high. Taking the piano as an example, a regular piano teacher can earn 65 yuan per class, while a high-quality piano teacher can earn 100 yuan. Secondly, the benefits are good. In addition to social security, high-quality course teachers will also receive additional housing and food subsidies every month. Thirdly, and most importantly, with a focus on resource allocation, schools will provide comprehensive packaging and promotion for high-quality course teachers. The selection of high-quality course teachers is a blue sky event, usually conducted after the performance evaluation of teachers in all campuses at the end of the year. A good thing is a good thing. Su Hongxin, the fourth human resource manager, was the earliest to come. He had experienced it once when he first joined, but it has nothing to do with us. Performance and number of years of employment are hard indicators for assessment. Of course, Ma Tao knew, I'm quite strange. I just heard from the office over there that they only gave us 2 spots in Yudong this time, and none of the other campuses. Su Hongxin said, can you think of something serious? Have you decided on what to eat for lunch? Ma Tao was distracted by Su Hongxin and said, hang up, hang up. The 4 of them are busy with their own affairs. At noon, Ma Tao and Su Hongxin teamed up downstairs to have a snack in Sha County, leaving only Lian and Chen Xian in the office. Lian followed up on Wang Xiaohu's student growth profile and took out his plastic instant noodles from the drawer. Eating instant noodles again. Chen Xian looked up and joked, this is also life management. Clever. Ang Li deftly tore open the packaging of the instant noodles, put the pancakes into the lunchbox, and then squeezed the sauce package dry like squeezing toothpaste. You didn't eat it again at noon. It's too hot to eat. Chen Xian has only been in Rongqing for 3 months now. Who would have thought that the comfortable spring and summer in Rongqing would be so stuffy? It feels like people can't live without air conditioning in this summer. Lian deeply understands this, but you can take 2 bites, eat at designated times, and don't ruin your stomach at a young age. Chen Xian smiled and said, why are you acting like an old man? Lian didn't answer and walked out holding instant noodles. Please slowly turn on the air conditioning, he said, why are you going? Chen Xian shouted behind him. Rubbing on steamed buns. Looking at the back of Lian's departure, Chen Xian's pen in her hand suddenly stopped. She found that she has been actively talking to Ang Li more and more times recently. At the front desk, Ang Li was eating Wang Meili's steamed buns while drinking instant noodle soup. Don't miss it. It's really a pity that your husband doesn't have the skills to open a steamed bun shop in your family. It's not really flattery, as he swallowed half of the bun in his hand. Really, the filling is even better than my mom's. Wang Meili couldn't close her mouth and said, next time I'll bring you fried buns, they'll be delicious. I'm sorry about that, but I can have around 10. A joke that amused Wang Meili was a burst of joy. Hey Sister Wang, what's going on with the half-year prize on Yudong's end? Lian took the tissue handed over by Wang Meili and wiped his mouth. I heard them say it seems like all the teachers have it, he said. Speaking of this, Wang Meili said with regret, this year is probably hanging. Our campus's performance in the first half of the year ranked last among the 4 campuses. Lian was puzzled and said, isn't the number of newly enrolled students in our first quarter ranked first among the 4 campuses? Even if the second quarter is worse, it won't be the bottom, right? Wang Meili shook her head and said, do you know the number of old students who resumed classes in the first half of the year? Ang Li really doesn't know about this. There are only 23, which is nearly half less than the first half of last year, sighed Wang Meili. The performance outside here is only 200,000 yuan. I understand. With a thoughtful nod, Ang Li thanked Wang Meili for her buns and returned to his classroom. The 6th-month prize seemed to be in vain, but the unexpected news still shocked him. There are basically only 2 situations where students from social training institutions suddenly lose a large number of students. One is that there has been a major accident in the institution. The second reason is that the teacher resigned extensively and took away the students. The current situation of student outflow in Udong is much more complex. There have been no major accidents or widespread teacher resignations in the past 6 months. Where did the old student go? There is an insider. Lian is almost certain that many in-dot service teachers are digging into the corners of Udong. And without any restraint. In fact, teachers who have been in training institutions for a few years are aware of this, or in other words, most of them have done it. Institutions can usually only turn a blind eye. From the perspective of labor relations, in the absence of a clear standard for teacher hourly remuneration in social institutions in the market, institutions have never relaxed their pressure on teacher hourly fees. Previously, there were 9 private students of Ong Li, of which 3 were all recruited from institutions. But this is also something he dug up inland in the past 2 years. Compared to the profits he has created for the training institution in these 2 years, he doesn't feel that he is not ethical. Currently, there are many teachers in Udong who are not good at martial arts, and with such a large loss of students, the academic affairs department has been eating shit for the past 6 months. When it comes to the fact that the main campus has given Udong 2 spots for high-quality teachers at this time point, Lian thinks this matter is even more intriguing. The teacher.student index of Yuxiao Bay has increased to 57 points. At this moment, a sudden system prompt interrupted Ong Li's thoughts. Lian called out the panel, and the number after Xiao Bei's name became 57/100. Half a day later, he finally noticed that each child's teacher.student index was followed by a 100. After pondering for a while, Ong Li closed the page. Wait. Everything that should come is on the way, there's no need to waste today's time on tomorrow's things. Taking back his thoughts, he began practicing the piano today. Soon, the scales in classroom 3 echoed through the entire hallway, and the loud sound attracted many piano students to gather at the door and take a look at the excitement. Lin Pengfei, who was attending classes next door, was also occasionally influenced by this scale, which made him somewhat unhappy. Especially when his students ask him if he can play so loudly. A fulfilling Saturday came to an end when Ong Li finished buying an electric fan and returned home. In the evening, he and his 80,000 yuan dinner party each added an extra ham sausage, and together they blew a fan and fell asleep beautifully. The station is short, feel free to invest. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Opening. Ong Li's Piano Classroom. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Opening. Ong Li's piano classroom. The next morning, when Ong Li woke up, a string of unread messages from 8 hours ago on his phone woke him up. The time of this letter is very sensitive, and he immediately thought of whether Yu Xiaobei's parents were going to take a leave last night. After opening it, I breathed a sigh of relief. It was a group message from the 4-person team in the West office. A potato grower. If it's a brother, come and chop me down. The sound of the waves is still. Chopped leaves. Chopped. The sound of the waves remains. I'll go, help me also chop it off. A potato grower. Why am I so short of 0.02? Ma Tao, could you give me some help? A potato grower. At 80,000 and go, come quickly. The sound of the waves remains. Don't shout anymore, and Gu has gone to bed early. Leaf. Old man behavior. 3 people stay up late at night, tinkering with Pinduoduo to receive cash red envelopes. He casually slashed both of them, and Ong Li continued to flip through the chat records behind him. Several people were stunned, and in the end, even Chen Xian joined in. So Ong Li helped Chen Xian cut another knife. Until I saw a screenshot of Su Hongxin successfully receiving a 100 yuan cash red envelope at 2:20 p.m. Li Engmu. So he also clicked on the link, and after completing the operation, he only needed 1 cent to receive a 100 yuan red envelope. For a moment. Ba Wan Wan. Good morning everyone. Ba Wan Wan. Help me also chop it off. Get up. Take a shower. Get out of here, there's no ham sausage left. After driving out 80,000 yuan, Li locked the door with his backhand. Meow meow. 7:55. Lian arrived at the bottom of Yudong building on time. After getting out of the elevator, I greeted Wang Meili and walked straight to the classroom. At the entrance of classroom 3, Xiaobei's mother had already been waiting with her child. When Lian arrived, Xiaobei's mother took the initiative to greet her and then explained her child's piano practice this week. Sorry, Teacher Li, Xiaobei only practiced for an hour on Wednesday and Friday evenings this week, and there was too much homework at school. Lian nodded in understanding and said, the exam is coming soon and you can still practice the piano. Xiaobei is great. Let's go, Xiaobei. Let's have class. Lian said as he entered the classroom and opened the window, and Yu Xiaobei obediently sat in front of the piano to warm up. 5 minutes later, Xiaobei's 7th lesson officially began. Li flipped through the textbook to Kipling's E-flat minor fugue. A third-level track. Come to Xiaobei, relax and don't be nervous. Actually, Xiaobei is not nervous at all. She is always afraid that she won't play well, so she always stays in a cautious state during class. In fact, she has already practiced this song at home to the point where it won't go wrong. Taking a deep breath, Xiaobei raised his hand and lowered the key, playing an ascending short scale with his right hand. Then 3 adorable jumping notes seemed like unsteadily unstoppable tumblers, and the music swayed and flowed through the 3rd section before joining the left side. The melancholic temperament unique to the minor melody unfolds childishly between the children's left and right hand theme dialogues, slowly progressing until the end without any mispronunciation. After playing it once, Xiaobei withdrew his hand and looked at Li. Li extended his thumb. The teacher.student index of Yu Xiaobei has increased to 58, the system flickered, and Li felt relieved. Fingering and rhythm are no longer a problem, Xiaobei. Today we will talk about the issue of wrist lifting technique. Speaking of Luodi, Xiaobei is a bit distressed. The teacher emphasizes almost every lesson repeatedly. For this reason, she also did a lot of practice at home, but her wrist always seemed to be in mechanical motion between lifting and falling, without the natural feeling that the teacher said. Lian knew Xiaobei's thoughts and comforted him gently, don't worry, let's take it slow. After speaking, he sat in front of another piano and said, listen carefully, look at my wrist. Raising his hand and falling, at the same speed and on the same ascending short scale, Li's fingers fell to the sound of the piano, and a string of ascending short scales slid out like a string of pearls from his right hand. 3 bars of music in one breath have become a thing of the past. When Li's left hand joined in, the original melody line suddenly split into 2. When I first listened to Li's demonstration, Yu Xiaobei had not yet started practicing, and at that time she only thought it sounded good. And by now, she had already practiced this piece of music, and listening to it naturally felt different from before. She really wants to know why the teacher's left and right hands can play 2 melodies clearly. The 2 melodic lines in the air sometimes separate and sometimes merge into one, attracting and resonating with each other, as well as colliding and separating. Yu Xiaobei stared intently at Lian's hands, as if trying to remember every movement of these big hands. Until the music came to a sudden stop, Yu Xiaobei puffed up his cute cheeks and gently exhaled a breath. The teacher.student index of Yu Xiaobei has increased to 59, Yu Xiaobei's teacher.student index indicates a score of 61, ding. The potential student-teacher index has reached 60, and the function of Li's piano classroom is open. Ding. Yu Xiaobei's teacher.student index reaches 60, automatically enters Lian's piano classroom. Li's scalp tingled with 2 consecutive tinkling explosions. He felt as if all of a sudden, something was starting to happen like that. Xiaobei, good child. Retracting his hands, Li suppressed his excited little emotions. Class first. The purpose of Lian's demonstration this time is to hope that Xiaobei can have a clearer understanding of the importance of lifting technology. This was supposed to be a technique that Xiaobei should have initially mastered during the Enlightenment stage, but Xiaobei only started learning this technique after learning the piano from him. It's because he didn't develop a good habit of using his wrist from the beginning, so it's difficult for Xiaobei to correct it now. Compared to Wang Xiaohu, Ang Li must say that at least under Wang Xiaohu's guidance, he was still reliable. After thinking for a moment, Ang Li felt it was necessary to explain to Xiaobei how to do Luo Ti again. Let me say it again, Xiaobei. Falling refers to the downward movement of the wrist. Ti refers to the upward movement of the wrist. The falling and lifting between two notes specifically refers to the first note falling naturally with the weight of the arm, and then using the transfer of center of gravity to bring strength to the second note, and then lifting. Hand, forget it. Looking at Xiaobei's increasingly confused big eyes, he decided to explain from a different perspective. With a twist of his mind, Teacher Ang Li came up with a plan. This way, Xiaobei. Let's not talk about the wrist lifting technique for now, let's talk about the issue of the connecting line. Lian reached out and pointed to the right-hand part of the fifth section of the sheet music. Look at the line above the notes #dol to si. The composer's connecting line connects these two notes together, making them a whole with a certain tone and tendency, so we cannot let them be separated when playing. Playing it out should sound like a two-character word, rather than combining two unrelated words together. For example, playing these two notes is like saying, hello, as soon as we say it, others will immediately understand. Your current problem is that others cannot hear what you are saying clearly. After Lian's words, it seems that Yu Xiaobei understood something at once. Is it acceptable here, Xiaobei? Xiaobei nodded. Okay, let's talk more specifically about how to make this statement clear. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. The importance of teaching ideas. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. The importance of teaching ideas. Notes are not words and do not have literal meanings. So if you want to play two notes with a logical sound effect, you have to start with the player's hands. Before playing, the player should first clarify in their mind how to match the timbre and intensity of these two notes, that is, how to smoothly transition from the word you to the word good. This process requires the performer to control the strength of their fingertips and the speed of their keys. Only by doing both can this statement be made clear. In order to give Xiaobei a more concrete understanding, Ang Li gave an example on the piano. When we first started playing the piano, most people did one thing. As he spoke, he used the back of his hand to wipe from the low range to the high range of the keyboard, producing a fast and even upward sound column. Wipe the piano, have you played it before? Xiaobei shook his head. Lian, hee, it's okay, you come and give it a try now. Pay attention to keeping your shoulders and arms relaxed throughout the entire process, allowing the back of your hand to smoothly slide horizontally at a constant speed without stopping at any point in the middle. Xiaobei finished it and found that the sound from the piano was the same as the teacher's, and for a moment, his face was filled with excitement. Lian asked, do you feel like it's like a complete sentence? Xiaobei. Yes. Lian explained, because of the action of wiping the piano, the weight and speed of the keys applied by our arms are average and smooth, and the center of our hand is also evenly transferred. As he spoke, his pace became slower and slower. This is crucial. If Xiaobei can digest this piece, then he can continue. The following content is the most core content. Suddenly, a line of blue characters floated up from before Ang Li's eyes. Teaching point from Xiaobei +1. Xiaobei said, Teacher, can I imagine two connected notes as the erasing keys between them? Bingo. Correct, said Ang Li with a crisp snap of his finger. Surprisingly relaxed, Ang Li took advantage of the heat and continued his speech. So when we play the double tone connecting line, the lifting action also requires the wrist and arm to move horizontally in a relaxed state. We need a lateral movement of the center of gravity, which can greatly compensate for the uneven feeling of our downward keys force and better achieve a sense of uniform and excessive sound between the two notes. When you can play from one note evenly to the second, your words are clear. After a pause. Xiaobei, do you understand? Xiaobei nodded vigorously and said, I understand. Very good. Now, let's go back to how to apply the technique of luodi in actual performance. Taking the group of sounds from #dole to si as an example. Lian said as his right arm fell and his middle finger landed on #dole. A full dang sound came from the piano box. Lower your right arm and stand firm with your middle finger. The strength of this action comes from the natural fall of the arm, and downward force cannot be deliberately applied to the arm. The middle finger, as a supporting finger, must stand firmly. Then, the wrist and arm drive the center of gravity to transfer laterally, moving from #dole to si. We must be natural here and not deliberately press hard, just like our two legs when we walk. Will we stomp hard when the weight of our left foot shifts to our right foot? We only need to extend our right foot, and then the center of gravity will naturally fall on the right foot. Li took advantage of the situation and landed his thumb on C, making another shorter dang sound than the previous one. The sound of the two pieces of qin was as smooth as breathing, and Li raised his hand. The ending of si was smooth and rounded. The core of lifting lies in placing the hand's center of gravity in front, walking forward with the fingertips as the center of gravity, while lifting the wrist to drive the fingertips away from the keys. Fingertips finally leave the keys. Fingertips finally leave the keys. Fingertips finally leave the keys. Xiaobei, remember this sentence to death, otherwise luodi will only become an external form of performance, which will not help our smooth playing. Teaching points from Xiaobei +2, Lian paused and said, then come on, Xiaobei. Li thinks it's almost done, although the content about luodi goes beyond that. He didn't expect Xiaobei to fully understand this technology through this class. Even if Xiaobei understood it, he wouldn't be able to master it immediately. He knows that the content he talked about today will be repeated countless times for Xiaobei in the future, which is the job of a piano teacher. Moreover, learning the piano is also a long process, and theory needs to be combined with practice for a little understanding, while effort needs to be accumulated bit by bit. This is a valley that no one can cross. The road to Xiaobei has just begun. In the blink of an eye, half of the class had passed, and Xiaobei was practicing her reinterpreted technique of luo-ti in front of the piano. Li didn't rush to open the system, so he sat on the side with a teacup in his hand and stared. Add a 1-point teaching point to the gap in front of you. Approaching the end of class, he estimated that he had gained around 6 or 7 teaching points in this class. Compared to Wang Xiaohu, Li feels that Xiaobei is simply his lucky star. He just couldn't understand why Xiaohu's mastery in class yesterday was not inferior to Xiaobei's today, but he didn't see any teaching points himself. Wait and see what happens when we teach Lu Fengrui. What day of the week do you finish your exams in Xiaobei? Teacher, we will finish the exam on Thursday afternoon. Come on, I wish you good grades on the exam. There are still 5 minutes until class ends, so let's practice again. I reckon you won't have time to play the piano again before the exam. Lian stood up and left. As usual, knock on the door to finish class. Arriving outside the classroom, Li talked to Xiaobei's mother about the learning content of this class. As he was about to say, I taught Xiaobei about wrist lifting again in this class, a hint of dissatisfaction flashed on Xiaobei's mother's face. Xiaobei's mother is very attentive to her child's learning situation in various subjects, whether it is in class culture or extracurricular literacy. She keeps track of the progress of each course in real time. Lian will explain in detail to her every class what the child has learned, to what extent they have mastered it, how to practice when they return home, and what to learn next. That's also why she was quite satisfied with Li taking Xiaobei from the beginning. But recently, Xiaobei's piano class has been stuck on this falling off issue. The previous teacher has never mentioned it, but it has become a big taboo for Li. She also searched for information online for this. There are various opinions about the concept of luati. Some say it is the most crucial technique in piano performance, some say it is just a gimmick, and some say that if you don't master it well, you won't be able to learn luati on the piano. Some people say that although latte is important, it is not necessary, and they have listed some world-class pianists who do not use latte techniques. According to her plan, Xiaobei must take the C2.3 exam during the summer vacation, which is why she did not take leave for Xiaobei before the end of the term. She doesn't want to slow down the grading process by delaying her child's piano class. There is still 1 month left until the final exam, and Xiaobei has not yet started learning the music of the 3rd level, which makes her a bit anxious. I am also somewhat dissatisfied. But in the end, she held back and didn't ask anything because Li finally mentioned the issue she was concerned about. For now, let Xiaobei pass this piece first. We will start learning the music in the next class. Various requests. Please everyone. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Terrifying Discoveries. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Terrifying Discoveries. Xiaobei's mother pushed the frame of the mirror and said, "Thank you, Teacher Li. I really like Xiaobei." Lian smiled and knocked on the door, and the sound of the piano in the room stopped. Thinking about the question of Xiaobei's summer exam, he added, "Do you have any other plans for Xiaobei's summer vacation, such as taking her on a trip?" "No. My daughter's vacation was arranged by her earlier, just let me know if you need any extra classes on your end." With these words, Li felt even more at ease. We will decide based on the child's specific progress then. At this moment, Xiaobei walked out of the classroom carrying a backpack. Xiaobei's mother handed the prepared tissue to Xiaobei and said, "That's it for now, Teacher Li. You're busy. Goodbye, teacher." Xiaobei wiped his sweat and waved to Li without forgetting. "Goodbye, Xiaobei. I wish you good grades in the final exam." "Thank you, teacher." As he watched the mother and daughter leave, Li breathed a sigh of relief. In fact, he had just noticed a change in the expression of Xiaobei's mother, so he didn't continue speaking and changed his mind to the question of grading. If we follow the personality of Li, who just graduated from university, he would definitely have had a big talk with his mother about the futility of passing the entrance exam just now. But he has already suffered such losses twice. There is a type of parent whose educational policy is completely self-centered, and teachers are just tools for them to achieve educational goals. Tools are not convenient and can be replaced at any time. After 2 months of contact, Li has no doubt that Xiaobei's mother is such a parent. Although he is no longer the young boy who just entered society, some of his persistence still remains unchanged in his heart. Educational sentiment is like underwear, it must exist, but it is not something that needs to be shown to people at all times. Sometimes we have to learn to be flexible. As long as the child is willing to practice the piano hard, everything else can be done slowly. After a long pause, Li returned to the office. Upon entering the door, he noticed that none of them were present. He thought to himself that he was pretty good, as being absent meant everyone was making money in the classroom. And his next class will have to wait until 10 o'clock. I don't know how Lu Fengrui did this week when he came home to practice the piano, but Li pondered and returned to his desk holding a teacup. I opened Pinduoduo with high expectations, but was greatly disappointed. I have attracted many people, why is there still a difference of 0.02 yuan to withdraw? All 3 people in the office helped him chop, and several relatives in the family group who had never met also helped him chop. Who else can we find? After another round of scrolling through the WeChat chat list, Li reluctantly put down his phone. This social circle has been basically dominated by the original owner, leaving him almost no room for manipulation. Forget it, it's just 100 yuan. It's not my own, take a closer look. Rubbing his hands, Li called out the system. At a glance, the tea that swept through his mouth sprayed out and splashed onto Qin Xian's desk. The name of Xiao Bei in the list of potential students has disappeared, replaced by a familiar yet unfamiliar name, Lin Pengfei, Teacher Student Index, 1/100, for a long time. Not at all, not really. As soon as he thought of Lin Pengfei boasting about his arrogant demeanor every day, Ong Li suddenly felt that there were also pitiful aspects to hateful people. It's difficult for Ong Li to describe his feelings at this moment, but one thing is certain. The taste of this product in his heart is gradually changing. How to put it, just consider Fij as an insider. My gaze continued to move below the character level, and a brand new icon appeared. Ong Li's piano classroom. This name looks particularly stylish, but when clicked on, it turns out to be a cartoon-style classroom. There are 3 mini standing pianos in the classroom, and a handsome cartoon boy with black hair walks around them. 2 of them are empty. There is a cartoon little girl with pink hair sitting in front of the other one. The little girl's head was floating with zzz. Ong Li's gaze shifted to the little girl, and a row of messages appeared. Yu Xiaobei. Teacher Student Index. 61/100, status. Resting practice time this week. 0 accumulated practicing time. 0 A prompt pops up in the system window. For every hour of practicing piano, the teacher gains some experience points. Smooth now. Upon seeing this prompt, Ong Li felt as if he had opened up the Ren and Du meridians, and he felt a sense of being in control of everything. The list of potential student sources provides information on potential student sources that may be exploitable. Student Guide provides clues for increasing the teacher.student index. Students who meet the teacher.student index standards can enter the system class. Students who enter the system class can gain upgrade experience by practicing the piano. He just doesn't know what changes will happen after the upgrade. Based on the fact that there are only 3 pianos in the classroom, Ong Li can roughly infer that currently his class can only accommodate 3 students. The upper limit of the number of people may be related to his level. The number of students displayed in the list of potential students should also be related to their level. After Xiaobei entered the system class, Song Kuan became the person with the highest teacher.student index here, ranking first. Following that, Lu Fengrui and Wang Xiaohu rose to 2nd and 3rd place respectively. Lin Pengfei replaced Wang Xiaohu as the 4th with a 1-point teacher.student index. This also indicates that Lin Pengfei had some kind of intention before Xiaobei entered the system class. That's why Buwang Xiaohu, who can achieve seamless connection, has entered the potential source list. If the above speculation is true, then it can also indirectly reflect the current reality of Ong Li's situation. There are no students to bring. The system has identified Lin Pengfei, Song Kuan, and his disciples as developers whose the fault. Without students, even a good feedback system cannot save the fate of a piano teacher. Hey! Xiaobei, you must work hard to practice the piano. Lian has begun to fantasize about his experience value rapidly increasing under Xiaobei's diligent practice. Lian hopes that Xiaobei will return home and work hard to practice the piano as soon as possible to master the technique of Luo Ti proficiently. Square root, but then I'll come back to it. Except for Xiaobei, he really doesn't know when the other 2 kids can enter his system class. Ultimately, there are too few students. Ong Li sighed. In the past, at Blue Star, every once in a while, classmates and friends recommended students to him. It's good to be on Earth now, he's afraid when the phone rings. Either the one asking for the bill or asking him to go out and consume. He couldn't even think about introducing students through others for the time being. Print small advertisements and stick them all over the street. It's not that era anymore. Doing offline self-media traffic is a thing of this era, not to mention it has been implicated in its grandmother's home, and the financial and time costs involved are not currently worth considering. Running a school on his own is even more ridiculous. With this resource and economic capability, he doesn't have to come here anymore. For now, we can only tie it to the big tree in the blue sky. Lian pondered whether the situation would improve after becoming a regular employee. He has been in Yudong for the past 2 months, during which he has seen new students enroll in piano classes. But they were all divided among other full-time teachers, even teachers like Lin Pengfei who had only been here for less than a year were divided into 2. In such places, accumulating students is sometimes a matter of luck. For example, if a female teacher suddenly becomes pregnant, it's like when she first arrived and easily managed to catch 3. But in more cases, we have to endure. The longer you endure, the more students will be. Hey! If the quota for high-quality teachers falls on him this time, then most of the current problems will be solved. Li was fantasizing when his phone suddenly rang. At the sight of the caller's message, his heart felt half cold again. Hello, hello. Hello Teacher Li, I'm really sorry. Sure enough, listening to the polite voice on the phone, Li seemed to have guessed what Lu Fengrui's father was going to say. Can Fengrui's 10 a.m. class be rescheduled to the afternoon? Is there no need for the final exam? His morning English tutoring class needs to be added. Fortunately, it was just a time adjustment, giving each parent and child a thumbs up. In the eyes of 99% of parents, the importance of the main course far exceeds that of the literacy course. Li can understand, he guesses that he became a parent and is also one of these 99%. The class was scheduled for 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and Li hung up the phone to clean Chen Xian's desk. He then took out the student growth records of Xiaobei and followed up on today's class records. Approaching 11 o'clock, Ma Tao was the first to return to the office. When he returned, Li An's lunch box was placed on the table, and there were still water droplets hanging on the lid of the lunch box. After a while, the other 2 also returned one after another. When the 3 of them were worrying about what to eat for lunch, a slow and melodious scale came from the hallway again. Gu has been practicing piano for 2 years in college for the past 2 months, Ma Tao sighed in a nostalgic tone. Su Hongxin let out a faint voice and said, I didn't see it. You worked quite hard in college. Can we roll or not? Ma Tao threw his white eyes at him and then said seriously, Hey, do you think Ange came to work here to find a place to practice piano for free? This statement was immediately opposed by Su Hongxin. How can we talk? It's like Gu is reluctant to buy a piano. Suddenly, the office fell silent. After a while. It's really hard to say, Chen Xian recalled as soon as she spoke, the piano in the hallway suddenly stopped playing. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Xiaomi doesn't want to laugh. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Xiaomi doesn't want to laugh. Azu. Lian rubbed his nose and raised his hand to turn off the air conditioning. Public electricity is also electricity. 2 hours later, he finished today's scale practice. Subsequently, the review of Chopin's Etudes began. Recently, he found that when he was playing some of Chopin's fast-paced phrases, his fingers would stick to the keys with a hint of something missing. Or it could be a finger falling from a lower height onto the piano keys. The performance is somewhat similar to individual fragments of Mozart's sonata. He didn't know if this situation was affected by the finger muscle memory left by the original owner. In short, with his original wrist technique combined, the sound effect produced by running is quite interesting. Soft yet grainy. Unfortunately, Li did not have a clear perspective to consider this phenomenon. Whenever this happens, he also fantasizes about having a dedicated and responsible teacher step on the colorful auspicious clouds and hold the secret piano scripture from the sky. And the reality is, dong dong dong. At 15:55, a knock on the door rang out. Lian stopped his finger and said, In. A chubby little man wearing glasses pushed the door in and said happily, Teacher, I'm here. The child must have missed the teacher so much. Take a seat when you come. I practiced playing the piano a few times at home this week, Li asked after getting up and moving his shoulders. Teacher, you don't know how much homework our school has this week, Lu Fengrui complained before he could even sit down. I have to write until 11 o'clock every day. Li sighed. Compared to when he was in elementary school, he was relaxed and had no pressure to pursue further education. Children nowadays start to fight bayonets in the early stages of elementary school. Especially Lu Fengrui attended a well-known key primary school in Rongcheng. Alright, Li comforted, most people have to write as late as you write. That's not it, Lu Fengrui muttered, I've finished writing early. Lian gave a thumbs up and said, then come on, Lu, who writes homework quickly. Class. Leaving aside the teacher.student index, Lu Fengrui is the child with the best martial arts skills and the fastest brain reaction among his 3 students. Based on Li's experience, if Lu Fengrun persists in learning and puts in more effort at home, there is a high probability that he will learn something in a few years. In this class, Li gave a detailed technical explanation on the creative piece number 9 in Bach F minor, part 2, which Lu Fengrun will play in the summer grading exam. The course time for technical lectures will pass very quickly because most of the time is led by the teacher. Considering that Lu Fengrui may not be able to practice the piano when he returns home this week, Li will focus on analyzing the music, allowing the other party to focus more on the knowledge points of the music in their minds. So that when he mentions it again in the next class, Lu Fengrui can have some impressions in his mind. Before class ends, Li finally emphasized. The right hand echo of the 16th bar must be aligned with the left hand. This is the focus of our next class's study. Class is over. Since last month, Lu Fengrun has been attending classes by himself, and every time Li takes him to the elevator. Hurry home and don't run around. When you get home, ask your dad to send me a message. The elevator door closed, and Li sent a message to Lu Fengrui's father. I can't be careless where I work as a teacher now. On the way back to the office, Li opened the system and glanced at it. With the 2 teaching points he had obtained from teaching Lu Fengrui, his current teaching point had already reached 9 o'clock. He can start the beginner's guide again with just 1 more point. He has decided to leave it for Xiao Bei or Lu Fengrui this time. Where's Chen Xian? Returning to the office, Li found Chen Xian's desk empty. He was about to seek the help of 3 people to find a way to make up for his deficiency point 0.02 yuan. Such an important matter is indispensable. You don't even know, let alone us. There's nothing wrong with what Su Hongxin said, and the entire office is relatively close to Lian and Chen Xian. That's right. 2 people, just 2 people. Lian, Su Hongxin, and Ma Tao finished playing a game and then expressed their demands tactfully. Without saying a word, the 2 of them helped him forward the link to Pingxi Shi to their respective private groups, and soon Li was only 0.01 yuan short. Victory is right in front of us. Could you please trouble the 2 of them for half an hour? They are about to leave work. Lian looked at the watch and said, I'll treat you to breakfast tomorrow. Su Hongxin said, Brotherin, you're welcome. The soy sauce bun set menu at the convenience store downstairs is fine. Ma Tao. Don't be ashamed. Brotherin, I will lose weight. A glass of soybean milk will do. Lian, 2 cups. Su Hongxin. And go is grand. The 3 of them walked into the elevator, chatting and laughing. When it comes to the work environment, Li really likes the atmosphere in the West office. Su Hongxin and Ma Tao often remind him of his college dormitory days. It's actually quite rare to meet a few colleagues and friends who have good personalities after leaving school and entering society. See you tomorrow. Leaving the office building gate, Li bid farewell and the 2 of them rushed non-stop to the Blue Whale Western restaurant. I had lunch early today, and he was so hungry when he taught Lu Fengrui. Blue Whale has one good thing. Eat before going to work. At 10:30 p.m., Chen Xian dragged her tired body back to her apartment. Just as I took off my clothes and prepared to take a shower, my phone shook behind me. It is an information prompt. She turned around and took 2 steps back to the bedroom to pick up her phone. The result was a sweet voice message. Xiaomi, have you arrived home yet? It's here, don't worry, good night. Chen Xian's tone was slightly disappointed, and after replying to the message, she threw down her phone and headed to the bathroom. The phone shook again after not taking 2 steps. 2 seconds later, her phone vibrated like a frenzy. This time she went to the bathroom without looking back, and she could guess what Sun Yuman had sent her. Sun Yuman, a native of Rongcheng. He and Chen Xian are college classmates and close friends in the upper and lower bunks. When Chen Xian first arrived in Rongcheng, everything from renting a house to finding a job was handled with the help of Sun Yuman. In Sun Yuman's words, the two are their own sisters who have been separated for 18 years. Chen Xian left work early today just to meet Sun Yuman. She thought it was their personal affair. I only found out after going there that there was still a woman and a man. She was quite familiar with the woman, but the man was the young cartoonist that Sun Yuman mentioned to him every day a while ago. At that time, she clearly told Sun Yuman that this kind of thing depends on fate, and she didn't like the feeling of being deliberately arranged. So tonight she was very unhappy. Sun Yuman knew her temperament clearly. But for the sake of her good friend's face, she persisted and looked at herself all night. After taking a shower, Chen Xian returned to bed and picked up her phone again. There are new messages from 2 people at the top of the information list. Chen Xian clicked on the avatar below. 8-in-1. Did you sleep? Half a minute later. Yi. No, what's wrong? Usually she might say, who goes to bed so early like you? But today she probably felt like she was in a bad mood. 2 seconds later. Ba Wan Wan. Quick, can you help me cut another knife next? A link will be sent. Chen Xian. For a moment. With a thud, she didn't want to laugh. As a short person, I want to seek investment. This wave is not a loss, trust me. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The 2 Giants of Piano Teaching Group. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The 2 Giants of Piano Teaching Group. I'm still 2 points short myself. Feeling a little relieved, Chen Xian clicked on Sun Yuman's message again. A string of voice messages. Don't be angry, right? Let's not do it again, let's not do it again. Oh dear Xiaomi, shall I treat you to dinner tomorrow night? If you don't reply to my message, I'll assume you agreed. So I'm not angry anymore. Mua. Chen Xian was not angry at first, and now she is even less angry. Suddenly, with a smile, she forwarded the link sent by Lian. Yi. I'm not angry, so I don't need to eat anymore. Help me get this done on the other side of Rongcheng. After sending a message to Chen Xian, Lian harassed Wang Meili and Lin Pengfei. Just 1 or 2 cuts away. He finally realized the magic of this thing, but in the end, he slept with the regret of that 1 cent. Before going to bed, he had lost hope, because the time limit for receiving this red envelope is until 6:30 a.m. the next day. But when he woke up, he found that 100 yuan had already been credited. He had a premonition that it might be Lin Pengfei's reciprocation. Anyway, the new week starts perfectly. I haven't peed for 3 days, so I'll buy you ham sausages for another 3 days. 80,000 stretched out his front paws lazily, then jumped onto the windowsill from the bedside to bask in the sun. Stepping on the warm morning light, Li arranged to board the bus behind several old men and women. Today, he left 30 minutes early and went downstairs to buy 4 sets of soy sauce meat buns. In 1 set meal, there is a tea egg, a cup of soybean milk, and a big soy sauce meat bun. Then Su Hongxin loved to eat tea egg, and he added an extra egg to Su Hongxin. Chen Xian doesn't like to eat meat, so he replaced the meat bun in Chen Xian's set meal with a shrimp egg bun. Ma Tao's weight loss is just a slogan, so the soy sauce bun in Chen Xian's set meal has now become Ma Tao's. Teacher Li, a total of 26 yuan. The cashier smiled sweetly. Scan the code for payment, thank you. The elevator stopped on the 9th floor, he took his left foot, and small footsteps echoed in the hallway. Every Monday, Lee is the first to come to Yudong. Passing by the front desk, he placed a breakfast under the desk. Returning to the office, they placed their breakfast on each of their desks. Sweeping the floor, mopping the office door, wiping the windowsill of room 3, time flies by. Xiao Li, you're doing hygiene again. Lian was throwing a mop in the public bathroom when a middle-aged woman dressed in exquisite clothes appeared beside him, holding a cucumber in her hand. This person's name is Huang Wan, and he is Li An's immediate supervisor, the leader of the piano teaching group at Yudong campus. I have been working for 8 years and have strong teaching abilities, which have earned me the trust of my parents. Currently, I hold nearly a quarter of the piano students in Yudong. The reputation within the organization is average, not harsh towards young teachers, but always likes to put on airs and listen to flattery. Do whatever you want. Li turned off the faucet and smiled humbly. His gaze shifted to Huang Wan's hand and he said, Leader Huang eats this every morning, no wonder he's so thin. Huang Wan knows that she is not fat at most, and saying she is thin is a bit deliberate. However, she loved listening to Li's words, so when she spoke again, her voice became softer and she said, How has Yu Xiaobei been lately? Did your communication with her mother go smoothly? When it comes to the issue with Xiaobei's mother, Li also found out later that when Xiaobei was forced to change teachers, the other teachers all complained that Xiaobei's mother had too much to deal with, so the child was successfully placed in his hands. However, Li thought it was okay and replied, it went smoothly. The child will start practicing Kuleo's sonata next week for the grading exam. Huang Wan hesitated and said, Why did you choose this? She has some doubts. Among the third-level repertoire, this sonata by Kurao is quite lengthy and not suitable for grading purposes. Especially this child due to the personal situation of Xiaobei's mother, Huang Wan, as the team leader, has paid special attention to this child. She knows this child is slow to accept things. Li agrees with this. But after a few classes, he also discovered the advantage of Xiaobei's good memory. Lian explained, Xiaobei memorizes the score quickly. I have already communicated with her mother, and her child will have extra classes during the vacation. There is still more than a month before taking the exam, so there is no problem. Seeing that Li was full of confidence, Huang Wan didn't say anything. She was still at ease with Li, and finally only reminded him, just pay more attention yourself. Don't worry, I have a plan, said Li, understanding what this caution means in fact, for Huang Wan, Li still has a sense of gratitude. When he came for an interview before, although he happened to have a female teacher here who was pregnant and had just resigned, Old Dong thought he was not from Rongcheng and had no work experience in his resume, so he didn't want to hire him. In the end, Huang Wan insisted on keeping him after listening to his trial class. As they spoke, the two of them had already walked to the entrance of the East office. This time, Huang Wan remained silent, and Lian took the initiative to carry a mop and follow her into the room, mopping up the floor. Same as last week. The time for clocking in at work is getting closer and closer, and teachers from the East office are arriving one after another. Seeing Li in his busy schedule, most teachers greeted him kindly. Finally, after dragging the door, Li was ready to leave and turned to face a spirited male teacher who walked in. Tian Yu, 34 years old, graduated from the piano department of a prestigious domestic university with strong professional competence. Within less than 3 years of joining the company, she surpassed other piano teachers and became the second most important member of Yudong Piano Teaching Group. Currently, she only has 6 fewer students than Huang Wan. Don't deal with Huang Wan. Teacher Li, you've worked hard. Tian Yu also took the initiative to greet Li. Good morning, Teacher Tian. Lian shook his mop and smiled, the floor is slippery, you can take it slow. After speaking, he turned aside and left beside Tian Yu. Since Ong Li learned about Tian Yu's secret phone call with Lu Fengrui's father, this person had already died during his career in Yudong. Lu Fengrui, like Xiao Bei and Wang Xiaohu, were both students of the pregnant woman teacher before. The teaching team had originally assigned Lu Fengrui to Tianyu, but due to Tianyu having too many students, he couldn't schedule weekend classes temporarily, so Lu Fengrui's class was delayed for half a month. Coincidentally, during this period, Lian came to apply for a job, and Huang Wan assigned this student to Lian. Huang Wan's approach of being both emotional and rational is not a problem. After freeing up time, Tianyu privately contacted Lu Fengrui's father and said that his child's classes could be scheduled. At that time, Tianyu already knew that Lu Fengrui had started classes with Lian, but he still did it. Lu Fengrui's father didn't mention it to Lian, but it was Lu Fengrui who later told Lian during a break. For people like Ong Li, it is destined to maintain a distance. Besides, holding one thigh is enough. When Ong Li returned to the office, the three of them were each having breakfast. Xia and Gu. Su Hongxin raised the egg in his hand and asked with a playful smile, "Did you go? Didn't old Huang ask you to work again?" Ma Tao apologized for Lian a few times and said, "Ong, don't let them call you in the future and go help as soon as they call you. They are used to it." Lian smiled and didn't answer. He walked to his desk and met Qin Xian's gaze. "I don't know who saw who first. Anyway, it just happened like this." End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Yudong's new vice president. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Yudong's new vice president. Qin Xian put on a rare makeup today. Ong Li glanced more at the freshness. Qin Xian's facial contour is already distinct, with a long and full atrium, a straight and slender nose and back, distinct bone texture, and a clear jawline. Simply putting on some makeup immediately gives people a sense of luxury. "Have you eaten?" Qin Xian asked him with soybean milk in his hand. Lian nodded and his gaze fell on the steamed buns placed at the corner of the table by Qin Xian. "Why don't you eat steamed buns?" Qin Xian. "My lunch." Lian exclaimed, "Does that count as me treating you to 2 meals?" At this moment, the door to the office was suddenly pushed open. "Walk around, what time is it? You can really sit still." A man with glasses poked his head in and shouted in a lively manner, "We have a meeting." Lin Pengfei always likes to brush his presence in this way. He always feels that he is familiar with any office. As she was about to leave, Qin Xian passed by Lian and whispered to her, "Calculate. Yudong's week starts from Monday morning meeting." At exactly 8 o'clock in the morning, all the living people on campus arrived at the small conference room. Everyone is chattering about the content of today's meeting. Before long, old Dong walked into the conference room with a heavy heart, followed by a middle-aged man wearing a golden-framed mirror. The conference room gradually quieted down. "Who is this?" Ma Tao whispered to Su Hongxin. Su Hongxin left the question to Lin Pengfei again, "You came earlier." "Do you know?" Lin Pengfei spread out his hands, "I haven't seen it either." Old Dong walked forward and left the middle space. After sweeping through the crowd for a moment, he spoke up. "Let me give you a grand introduction. This is the new vice president of our Yudong campus, Principal Qin Yongqin. Welcome everyone." Applause rang out. How could a vice principal suddenly appear overnight? Yudong has never held the position of vice principal, which puzzled everyone. Don't mention them, old Dong only received a call from the office of the main campus last night. He thought this phone call was meant to talk to him about the specific matters regarding the selection of mid-year high-quality teachers in Yudong. He explained this to everyone in the group the day before yesterday, but there was no further discussion afterwards. As a result, he was told over the phone that the main campus had hired a vice principal for Yudong and he would arrive early tomorrow morning. Since the resignation of the principal of Yudong at the end of this year, the principal on the campus has been vacant for nearly half a year. Even some of the legitimate lineages of the old Dong speculate that there has been no one sent down from above, saying that this position will eventually belong to him. Mr. Dong understands that he has not yet passed the level of continuing classes for senior students in Yudong in the first half of the year. Then the vice principal parachuted in like this. This hit really caught him off guard. After the applause fell, Qin Yong looked at Director Dong and corrected him, saying, "Wait a moment, Director Dong. Don't call me Principal Qin, I'm just a deputy. We can't just call this issue a mess from the beginning." With a slightly self-deprecating magnetic voice, Qin Yong's first entry speech immediately relaxed the atmosphere on site. But when Dong Xiaonan heard these words, he felt a bit stiff. After being tested, he couldn't help but smile bitterly. The next day may not be as easy as before. Then Qin Yong explained to everyone, today was indeed a bit sudden, so we didn't have time to greet everyone in advance. Let's do this for now, without delaying the meeting. Let's get to know each other slowly later. After saying that, he gave a gentle bow and then turned to Director Dong again, you will still be presiding over the first half of the meeting. It's just that I'll be observing and understanding the meeting process on our Yudong side. Qin Yong finished speaking and sat down in an empty seat under the gaze of everyone, then took out a notebook. The meeting officially begins. Without the small talk from previous meetings, Dong Xiaonan went straight to the main topic. Firstly, summarize the work situation of Yudong last week. Last week, we enrolled 3 new students and 4 students for continuation classes. In the past, Mr. Dong would definitely start by discussing the issue of last week's class loss. After all, this is related to the profit and loss on the institution's books next month. But because most of the students did not attend classes last week due to the final exams, the class loss rate of the entire campus last week was not even 1/3 of the previous week. Now the new leader is sitting below, listening to his work report for the first time. How did he speak up? According to the principal, 3 new reports and 4 continuation reports also have a turnover of nearly 60,000 yuan. But this account cannot be calculated like this. This 60,000 is just their prepaid tuition fee. All course enrollment records of training institutions can only be defined as liabilities before course consumption. After students enroll in a class, they consume 1 class hour for each class they attend. The cost of this class hour has shifted from the running flow of unused classes to the transfer of consumed classes. Only the transfer expenses generated from course consumption can be truly calculated into profits, which also requires deducting all operating costs during the period. The conclusion drawn from this is that Yudong was in an absolute loss state last week. The new leader will not fail to understand this principle. So Dong Xiaonan can only report some surface performance first, at least he can level his face a bit later. Several academic affairs and teachers who have made outstanding achievements were praised by name, and it was only after a change of tone that old Dong mentioned last week's class losses. A few speeches can be summarized in one word. Tragically. He has no choice. The faculty and staff sitting here are also aware of it. Most social art training institutions across the country will experience this situation at this time point. After a relatively successful sale, the meeting moved on to today's next theme. Additional courses for summer grading exams. Speaking of this old Dong, his confidence has increased. Exam grading and additional courses are a powerful tool for social training institutions to accelerate course consumption. Because most parents attach great importance to the level exam, and even some parents insist that their children learn music for the purpose of obtaining the level 10 certificate. Since it is a grading exam, there is naturally a so-called pass rate. If parents expect their children to pass the exam smoothly, they need to find more teachers to teach. So, taking advantage of the mindset of parents, most children before the exam will go crazy in class, and sometimes it's not an exaggeration to attend 3 or 4 classes a week. Even some small training institutions brainwash parents to have their children attend classes every day in the last half-month before the grading exam. Arriving at Yudong is no exception, but as a large institution, we still need to consider the issue of reputation. Mr. Dong instructed the 3 team leaders to submit the grading and additional lesson plans for each teacher's students before Wednesday. The task he assigned was that each graded student should have no less than 1 additional class per week. As the meeting passed halfway, the issue of summer grading and additional classes was also explained. Old Dong's gaze fell on Qin Yong and he said, "Next is about the selection of high-quality teachers for our campus in the middle of the year. Let our new leader tell you the specific situation." As he spoke, he took the lead in applauding again. The two of them had a conversation outside the conference room. Qin Yong stood up with his notebook and walked back to everyone. "Thank you to the 3 fat men and the helmsman who rewarded the sheep. Thank you for the reward from Qingqingguyu. Thank you to the 3 chubby people and the monthly tickets of Yang, Jianzhao, and Qingqingguyu. Thank you all for the recommended tickets these past 2 days. Thank you all." End of this chapter.